Just a couple of best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out, best friends hanging out.
Yeah, so I actually,
He's broken.
for those of you who don't know this, I do not care what happens to the Chargers from this point forward. Win, lose, tie, don't care.
No.
I'm more concerned about my fantasy players.
Yeah, it's a tough when something in the family dies, and when the Chargers fandom from Collin has left his body and evaporated into the sky. It's a very sad thing. It makes me a little emotional talking about it. I remember going to Oakland Coliseum with Tom Davis and Adam Bolenbaugh and Colin Gall, and watching him steadfastly ignore these gangbangers with face tattoos screaming about 5 inches from his face about how much the Chargers suck, and he withstood it. His love for the Chargers withstood all of that. I remember loss after loss after loss after loss after loss after heartbreaking loss, and Collin steadfastly stood by. Maybe it was maybe the breaking point was Phillip Rivers leaving the team. I know Philly Riv and him had a close connection. He checked him out at an Albertsons one time, and after that, they just had some sort of connection that really couldn't be broken. And you know that out of all the people that are loyal to their players, Collin is one of the most loyal, which we'll get into later for the old mailbag. But yeah, rest in peace, Collin Gall and the Chargers. Heartbreaking. But you know, times change, and the heart wants what the heart wants, and if the heart doesn't want the Los Angeles Chargers, the heart will not accept. You can't fake love, you know? And I'm glad that Collin has been able to shake off that brutally abusive relationship. It's like he would show up to work on Monday with, bruises on his face, thighs, arms. And everyone's like, Collin, what happened? What happened to you? And he'd look at them and he'd say, I can't. I fell down a set of stairs. I got real banged up in Frisbee. Wasn't anything to do with the Chargers game, was it? Absolutely not. Okay. I'm done cracking myself up. But in all seriousness, I think that it's actually a good thing that we can shake off some of this fandom, because we've all had that feeling where you feel like your like dog died. What I said classically, it's like your dog died and your wife left you when you were away for, like, in Iraq for the war. Just gut punches, and we remember these ones too. It's not like they just fade away. Like, we always remember exactly where we were and what happened in the game to cause it. Like Collin today, he was like, yeah, I remember the Bolts were up by 13, and then they fumbled a kickoff return for a touchdown, and then the very next play, Melvin Gordon fumbled it, and they scored a touchdown, and we lost. And then he was just moping around with, his girlfriend and his mom, when what would have been a beautiful day otherwise. And I actually, like I said, I respect it. There were times when the Panthers lost, and I wish I could just turn it off, Or when the Warriors lost the finals, I wish I could just turn it off. I'm sure Weaver feels that way about the Dodgers. Just turn it off. But a lot of us can't bear to do it. So the fact that you've officially been able to hit the turn off button, hit that switch, I'm proud of you, big guy. That's great. So rest in peace, Chargers. The LA Clippers are there forever now. So it's pretty much just Padres for old Gall now. Padres and fantasy. Well, I know one team will continue to break your heart. Nah, let's make it 2. 2 teams will continue to break your heart. But yeah, great podcast, guys. I really enjoyed it. I know I'm late on this one. I've been stupid busy this week. We've been practicing a ton for this digital virtual show we're playing in Sacramento, so I haven't had any evenings to myself, and then I've been practicing a lot because we're really rusty. Working, teaching music. I played a gig last night. Worst gig ever. There's nothing like playing in front of like 15 people who don't give a shit about anything, and they're just like watching. You know it's bad when they care less about you than the Eagles-Giants game going on. So, you win some, you lose some. And another fun thing that we've been doing, though, is harvesting our wheat plants. We harvested 2 so far. We're probably going to get around an ounce, maybe a little bit more out of 2. These were the worst off ones by far. Caterpillar came through and ripped it on up. So there's a lot of bud rot and stuff. We'll get a little bit more into that later with the mailbag as well. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I'm just going to touch on the trade that I made with Bolenbaugh. So at the time, I was in a brutal position from running backs. I had let's look at my week 5. Week 5, I started Brian Hill, and fortunately A.J. Brown played, because if he didn't, I was going to have to start Tyler Higbee in the flex. So my flex has been brutal this whole year, with injuries to DJ Chark and A.J. Brown and, of course, Christian McCaffrey. So week 4, I have Brian Hill in my flex position and Adrian Peterson in my running back spot. Brutal. Then in week 3, I've got Tyler Higbee. I do the old double tight end. Luckily, he scored 7 for me, so not brutal, but Darren Waller scored 1.9. And then I started Malcolm Brown, my hipster pick of that prior week. 1.9. Week 2, Christian McCaffrey's alive. Lazard is alive. Carson is alive. And I'm still starting Malcolm Brown in my flex because I don't have A.J. Brown. Every time I see A. Brown, I think Antonio Brown. Wish I hadn't dropped Giovanni Bernard. No big deal. So, yeah, my flex position has been brutal. So, I think looking at Claypool and the way that the press talks about him, the Steelers faithful talk, is that what they call him? The Iron Curtain talks about him. I think that he's going to make a very fast impression in Pittsburgh. I think he is clearly the most talented wide receiver on the team, and I don't think that they can put the genie back in the bottle with him, especially with the struggle on playmaking they've had with Juju just being pedestrian. And, Connor is a great running back. I wouldn't put him, top 10 in the league, but serviceable. They don't have a true game-breaking player. Playmaker at the skill position, and I think Claypool is that guy. So I don't think they can just put him on the bench. And I had all these stats I talked about. He plays around 78% of the snaps at the time, and they even when the other receiver comes back, what was it, Deontay Johnson comes back, they still run 3 wide receiver sets so often that he's going to see the field. So, and also they were handing the ball off to him on the goal line, which if your guy is also getting multiple goal line carries, then you're happy with it. So I really liked Claypool, and also going back to the heart wants what the heart wants. That's what I wanted. So one more thing about it is with that, of course it's a small sample size with that 4 touchdown performance, but he was still, at the time of the trade, only, I think, 7 fantasy points behind my boy A-Rob, which is insane. So then I was looking at Johnson. Of course I need a running back. Running backs are a scarce position in every league, but it feels like especially our league. And for all the flex and bullshit I was trotting out earlier, it just makes sense for me to try to find another running back. And really, I don't consider him a pure running back 2. I consider him more of a flex option. And when I get Christian McCaffrey back, I'm going to have Carson, McCaffrey, and then Johnson in my flex. Hopefully just getting me that, 10 to 13 points floor, which it seems like he has. And I think he's underperforming, too, because he plays around 80% of the snaps, and which is second in the league for running backs. So I like his usage. I like the offense. I don't think they've put it together yet, but without a training camp, it's hard. So I think they're starting to round into form. Deshaun Watson is heating up. They're going to get more goal line opportunities. I like him to regress positively, as they always say in the fantasy podcast. So I like both of them. And now finally why I was fading A-Rob, and it's not because I think he's bad. I think he's very good. But he was also, for me, like a high floor player, but not the highest ceiling type of guy. I didn't feel like his points per target were very high. So I thought that his targets were not at the same value as some other wide receivers. Like an A.J. Brown target is much more valuable than an Allen Robinson target. So I did all the math at the time. I can't really go back and do it again, but fuck it, why not? I'm going to get out of here pretty early anyway. So we look at Allen Robinson's production, and it is great on the surface to me. 9 targets, 13 targets, 10 targets, 16 targets, 9 targets. Really good target production. But then 9 targets yields 5 receptions for 74 yards. 9 targets, 3 for 33. 13, this is his best game. 10 receptions, 123 yards. Still less than 10 yards a target and a touchdown. Then finally he breaks 10 yards a target, 10 for 101, 16 for 90, and 9 for 50. So I felt like his value on his targets was a little deceiving, and I like the upside of Claypool, who I thought if he ends up being a breakout wide receiver star, which it maybe is a big ask, but in all fairness, I don't really need to start him if I don't want to. Once Chark is healthy, I got Chark, A.J. Brown, and Higgins. So all 3 of those guys have been producing, and now I also have Chase Claypool, hopefully, and then fingers crossed on McCaffrey. So I like the depth that I acquired. I also like the running back that I acquired, and I like the wide receiver I acquired, and I thought that Allen Robinson had already kind of hit his peak. I don't feel like he's going to play much better than that 23 fantasy points he scored in week 3. So that's why I made the trade. I really, obviously 1 week is very small sample size, but I was happy last week with the production, and I'm hoping I can continue to get that from those guys. So let me get back to my old schedule. I'm just going to dip right into the mailbag right now. The first one is from longtime listener, Evan Bryden. Rank league members based on who's the biggest fantasy homer. By that I mean who falls in love with, worships their players the most. This is a really good question, Evan, and I'm glad you asked it. It's going to be tough to do the entire league because I feel like a lot of people are actually pretty good at not being homers. Well, obviously, number 1 with a bullet is Collin Gall. Number 1 with a bullet is Collin Gall. And beyond that, it's really tough to say. I don't I mean, obviously, no, well, Brad didn't even draft Hawk and Cock. So, I don't think it's fair to rank anyone else. I mean, we have Scott with Aaron Rodgers. Didn't take him this year. So maybe you guys could shout out some homer pickups, fantasy homer pickups, in terms of people who are addicted to one star or another and constantly draft them. But it's obviously Collin, number 1, without a doubt. I think Max can be a little bit that way. I feel like he always has some of the same guys. But I think we've been a lot better at just remaining objective on the draft and players and whatnot. So I wouldn't throw anyone else into that category of fantasy homerism year after year, but Gall is definitely up there. Yeah, that's it for that one. Evan, sorry I can't go through the whole league. It's too much. But I enjoyed the question. Mailbag. Sean O'Malley, long time listener. How much did 5 Hour Energy pay Weaver for that scientific review? Well, I know how much they pay me, and it's about negative $120 a month. I do think that they're fairly healthy. I think it's just caffeine, B vitamins, and then a little bit of enes. I don't know what all the enes are, like taurine and I already went over them before. I don't know what those enes do, but I don't think they're that big of a deal. Mostly just B vitamins and a shit ton of caffeine. It's what the body wants. It's what the body craves in the morning, in the evening. So if you want to keep on rocking and rolling in the evening, go with 5 Hour Energy. All right, and the next one is, what's your plan with all your weed? Stash, gift, sell, essential oils? From Collin Gall. Well, we're not going to sell any of it because people can actually get it legally now, and that would be a waste of time for us. But we're going to do a lot of different things with it, mostly just stash it and have it around. We'll probably gift it to a few people. And we're taking all the trimmings, and we're going to make hash with it and also weed butter. So we're going to make a ton of edibles, some baking. Emily makes some ferocious weed brownies, so those are going to be really fun. So there we go. That's the mailbag. I don't think I got anything else, so I know I kind of did last second there. Yes, on Prop 14, continue stem cell research. Okay. That's the last text I got. So, of course, shout out Prop 13, or 14, my bad. Stem cell research. All right, so I made all these picks beforehand, before Thursday. So I'm going to do my best here to remain objective, but this is what I did. I picked myself against Scott, but honestly, this is a nightmare matchup for me. He has Drew Brees against Carolina. Carolina's been pretty good against the pass, but they're still giving up a lot of random fantasy points. Like Kyler Murray, that was mostly on a 70-yard run he had. Yeah, 70-yard rush. Nick Foles, nothing. Matt Ryan, nothing. Justin Herbert, barely anything. Tom Brady, nothing. And Derek Carr, only 13. So they actually have had a very strong performance in the passing game, but it's the rushing yards they give up. But that being said, a little dump off to Alvin Kamara, and we could be just completely fucked. And there's Drew Brees' touchdown right there. Deshaun Watson is rounding into form. I think he puts up a shit ton of points against Green Bay. I think that's a shootout. So I take myself in the quarterbacks. Wide receivers, he's obviously the best wide receivers in the league. He's got, let's just say what it is, Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, Julio Jones. That's his starting wide receivers. He's got me with a bullet there. I've been saying with a bullet a lot. He's got me candidly there. So why did he lose a bunch of projected points, though? Interesting. All right. So, yeah, I like DJ Chark. Let's see if he actually practiced. He was removed from the injury report. Nice. A.J. Brown, he returned to practice. Good. So I like his matchups, too. CeeDee Lamb versus the football team. Diggs versus the Jets. Julio Jones versus Detroit. Michael Thomas could have a tough game against Carolina, but really good matchups, too, for his wide receivers. I have Higgins against Cleveland, which I like, but Chark is going to have a tough time against the Clippers, and A.J. Brown's going to have a tough time against Pittsburgh, so he'll probably dominate me there. Now, Chris Carson and David Johnson against Frank Gore and Kareem Hunt. Now, Kareem Hunt has a cherry matchup against Cincinnati, so that could be just brutal for me too. Carson has a nice matchup against Arizona, and David Johnson against Green Bay. I think they both score. Gore has a tough matchup against Buffalo. I don't think he does anything. So I'll take myself just by committee, unless Hunt puts up 30 points, which is very possible. But I think my guys probably put up combined around 30 to 40 points. All right, and then Darren Waller versus Hunter Hurst Henry. I like Darren Waller better than that. Henry is great, especially against Jacksonville, but Waller's just a locked in, let's just say top 4, so avoid controversy, tight end. And now I'm going to compare his CeeDee Lamb, who he actually has in his wide receiver spot, but I'll compare that to Claypool. It's going to be a toss-up between those two. They're both stud rookies. Claypool could get that home run, though. And I don't know why he's trotting out the San Francisco kicker and defense against New England. At New England, it looks like it's going to be good weather, but still, I don't understand. Anyway, I picked myself, but again, this could very, very well be an upset, and I think this would be the start of a big run for Scott if he does get this win. All right, the fantastic Plod Gurley, all of a sudden leading the league in Bush, which is pretty amazing. Good job. I like that Fant trade, by the way. I thought Pebbles definitely won that trade. I can't trust any New England running back. Let me make sure this podcast is still going. All right, good. So Murray versus Rodgers. I think you gotta take. Murray because it's gonna be a shootout, and Seattle can't defend anybody. Call it a. Fuller's been the man. He's been really freaking good. Look at this. 15-0 because he gets hurt. 13-19, 13-22. Killer. I think he outperforms Galladay. Samuel's ramping up, I guess you could say, with the target share going up, but I still think he's trash. Against Godwin, who is coming off injury, so we'll see what happens there. And I think they just run all over Las Vegas anyway, so I don't think they need to throw that much. So I like Pebbles wide receivers better. I don't know. Well, Keenan Allen is better than Patrick, and Patrick kind of kills you, kind of sinks your entire... Well, 12, 20, and 12? Are we serious here? Wow. Okay. Maybe I'm sleeping on this Patrick dude. Oh, man, I guess I kind of like Brad's better. All right, I'll barely take Brad's. Then running backs, Robinson has been a diamond in the rough. Kind of mediocre the last few weeks, but still great volume. The fantastic Todd Gurley. He's kind of like David Johnson with touchdowns. So, gotta love that high floor, good volume player, even though it's not sexy. But we've got Alvin Kamara and Swift, who's ramping up. Oh, man. So, yeah, I picked Brad in this one, and I'm starting to understand why. Kelsey for his fan, I like that better. McKinnon, I'm not buying it. I'm just not. I'm not buying it. He's put up 1 and then 3. I'm just not buying it. So, Joey Sly is officially off the COVID list. That's good. All right, good. So, yeah, I took Sweetbread in this one. Still got to change the name. But it's all good, dude. I like your team. I think you take out Pebbles and his giant bushy bush. Okay. So, you can McKiss this versus brave Sir Dobbins. I took Dobbins in this one, and he's really doing well. He picked himself to win the league, and I respect that. No one respects people predicting that they themselves win the league more than me. Trust me. However, you have some production that won't last on your team now, don't you? Got a guy named Mike Davis who will be completely irrelevant. How are you going to fill those 15-point projected points a game? Better hope Jackson becomes that guy. Could be. But then you're going to need to put someone in the old, I guess, Lindsey. I don't know. Lazard could come back and have an impact for you. So, yeah, I like Burrow against Cleveland, but I also like Matt Ryan with Julio Jones. That's really the key is, does Matt Ryan have Julio Jones? If the answer is yes, he balls out. If the answer is no, he's tragic as all fuck. Hill, Woods, Landry, Kirk, Sanders, COVID-19. Got to put on another wide receiver there. Oof. Yes, Traquan is coming out of the old garage. Traquan Smith. Yeah, gotta love Weaver's wide receivers better. Christian Kirk is boomy. Metcalf is boomy. Woods seems to be taking a little bit of a backseat to Cup, but still solid. Henry might just do it on his own, but against Pittsburgh, it's a tough matchup. Elliott against the football team, Davis against New Orleans. I like Dobbins. Running back's better. And then Justin Jackson, this could be his breakout game. This could be where he gets a ton of carries, ton of fantasy points, and everyone's just like, "Fuck me! Why didn't I go for him harder?" Devin Singletary, just not a fan of it. So yeah, I got my boy, brave Sir Dobbins, and now I put in these picks before, mind you. So my pick was for Gascon, and he had an okay Thursday night. It's almost better than having a phenomenal Thursday night because I feel like that's almost like a kiss of death. I feel like whenever you score well on Thursday night, you're just fucked. So Stafford is a brutal replacement player to Tannehill. Oh, it's not. You're actually playing him instead of Tannehill. I guess the Pittsburgh. I guess you're playing the matchup. I don't know. I just don't love Stafford this year. He's been just average. It's like his peak is like 22 points on the season, and that's with 31 attempts. I guess low touchdown volume. I don't know. I just don't love it. I think Tannehill's been phenomenal, and it's really tough to bench him. 28, 30, 26, 2 games with 4 touchdowns. Plus, he runs a little bit. I don't know if you guys know this. He used to be a wide receiver. Crazy. All right. So, I like Roethlisberger a little bit better against Tennessee, but I don't think it's going to help old Adam. Crowder versus Moore. I like Moore a little bit better, but Crowder's been super solid, and that's probably just the homer in me. But I think that DJ Moore can have a good game. You got to know when to fold 'em. Against A-Rob, my boy. I like A-Rob better. And obviously, Fulgham put up 9.8. But still, hefty target volume. Got to love that off the waiver wire. And Hopkins is going to destroy. I think Devontae Adams has a bounce back. Wow, really brutal game for Devontae Freeman. What happened? Oh, my God. Wow, tough. Yeah, and then Boston Scott pays off with 16. Melvin Gordon, we'll see how he does. I think that it's going to be tough to break 100 for Adam, and I think Gascon just goes off again. So that's what I got. Now, fucking Blood Diamond Bill picked up his boy, Cole Billsley, against the Fresh Prince of Hell-Air. Maxwell Dunn. You'd think you'd change the name after all the brutal luck you've been having, but you got to roll with it. Minshew against Wilson. Obviously Wilson. I picked Max, by the way. Did I? And I said, I said I picked Gascon. All right, so Deontay Johnson is back. We'll see if he gets back to that 10 target, 13 target, can regain his momentum he had earlier in the year, or if it's fully gone to Claypool. We'll find out. But McLaurin is the undisputed guy. Evans, kind of the Adrian Peterson of the wide receiver position. And Cooks has been cooking. So I don't think that Deontay Johnson is going to blow up. I think Tyler Lockett has been disappointing lately. I don't think he's reached his projection the last 2 games after he blew up against me for 33 points. And then Cole Beasley, he'll get like 8 points for sure. So Cole Billsley against Brandon Cooks. I like so right now I just like Max's roster better down the board. But I guess he's just not playing a tight end. What's going on with that, Max? You have an empty bench. You'll play someone, right? Jesus Lord. Can someone beat Bill, please? Can't go back. Kenyon Drake versus Hilaire. I think Hilaire's turned the corner after all the shit I talked. Denver might be a little bit of a tough matchup, but we'll also see how Le'Veon cuts in. It could be a lot. I don't think it will be a lot. Andy Reid historically has run pretty heavy on bell cow backs, so I think Hilaire's going to continue to be the guy. And Le'Veon might go in if there's a fumbling issue or if you need some improved pass protection, I think is it. Gibson not sold on. I like Connor better. So, yep, I like Max's running backs better. Jonnu Smith is a go, I think. Yep, no injury designation, so he's going to play. Still a tough matchup against Pittsburgh, but better than nobody. So hopefully Max gets someone in there. I actually like Latavius. I think he could have a little bit of a role against the Panthers. So I think that 7 to 10 point range is right, and I think AJ Green is not. Talk about low value targets. He had 13 for 29 yards, 6 for 36 yards, 9 for 51, and then 2 games just busts, and then 11 for 96. So just I think 9 is right around AJ Green style. So yeah, I picked Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I hope he can finally take down fucking Blood Diamond Bill, Cole Beasley. Yeah, just fucking keep me away from that ranch, especially if I lose this week. And then finally, Mix On, Mix Off versus We Demand a Chabaret. Wow, kind of a brutal roster for Collin this week. Don't know what's going on with him, but I picked Chubbery. I like Mahomes obviously better than Buckaroo Allen, even though the Jets are a pretty cherry matchup. Ridley against Cooper. Ridley's better. Boyd is solid against Cleveland, but Robbie is also solid, so kind of a wash there. Slayton had a shit game, but I would still say Williams is the more exciting wide receiver. So I like Collins wide receivers a little bit better, but Josh Kelly is a really tough play as your RB1 here, and then Hendo is also tough with a Q tag, held out of practice on Thursday. Not good, dude. Not good. So yeah, Mixon is hurt. That's pretty interesting, and no Giovanni Bernard. So of course, I also like Chubbery's running backs better. He's got Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones, and he has Giovanni Bernard. So rude. Oh, he's going to use your injury against you. That's just brutal. Yeah, I like Evans' running backs better. Kind of a wash with the tight end category. They're both meh. And then Ronald Jones is looking to be the guy in Tampa Bay, so he's a very, very studly flex. So I got Chubbery, and my pick is looking good because Collin, his team's looking brutal. He's got 3 players playing with projected. No, sorry, if you include defense and kicker, that's 5 players with under 10 projection, and Henderson is questionable on a Friday. So brutal turnaround for Collin, and that's pretty much it for me today. Trying to keep it fairly short. I really enjoyed the People's Podcast, the Drunkard Podcast. You guys were good and drunk by the end of it, slurring all your words. It was great. And I would love to sit there and hold hands with you guys and share a nice bouquet of, what was it, Gold Label Johnny Walker. But unfortunately, I'm not with my friends. I'm here alone, but I imagine we could be together, and then we'd be just a couple of best friends hanging out.